Hi, my name's Jim, and I'm building a little baseball game this summer just to go through so that people in my course, or you if you'd like to, can see how to build a game from scratch using the techniques that are going to be in the class and in the order that we do things in class. So things are a little bit out of order, and this is one of the things that's a little bit out of order as far as how I'd actually build something, but it's okay. I mean, it doesn't really have to be done in any particular order, as you can see, because I'm doing it out of the order that I'd prefer. So usually I wouldn't start drawing things right away, and usually that would come later. But, you know, as we start off, we want to draw things, and we've already gone through a lot of preparation for that. After we made the design document and showed sort of the different positions that we'd wanted, I went through and I figured out the positions for both the field and for one frame of the player. So this is the frame of the pitcher. And then the previous video was just making this background. So here's the pitcher's mound, here's home plate, here's where the batter will be, here's where the pitcher will be. So this is the first of two videos that will get the pitcher there. The first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to draw a circle. So I've already created a class which can make all sorts of different pitchers right here, and we're not going to deal a lot with this class right now. I'm going to go through and make an actual class later on. What we're going to focus on is drawing right now. So there are two aspects to drawing using this class. The one is calling the class to actually draw, and the other is drawing the thing in the class. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to call this thing so that it draws. It's a little bit out of order for the class, but you know, we may as well do it now to get things going. And then I'm going to come back in the next video and fill out this frame one, which is going to draw this little orange guy over here. He might not be orange when I draw him. We'll just have to see what color he turns into when I draw him later on. So basically that's what I'm going to do. Right now, when I do things, it'll draw a circle. See, it says pg.draw circle. You can guess that'll draw a circle just the way it says. So that's what I'm going to do. But first I'm going to have to create him. And when I do that, I'm going to call this initialization function. It isn't going to be a direct call. You're not going to see init. But what it's going to do is I'm going to give it a name, and this guy's going to remember that what his name is. And then I'm going to have these two things go there. One is going to be position. One is going to be the height. Position is a position on the field, right, which was going to be on the pitcher's mound, and the height is going to be the height of the guy, right, the height of the pitcher. So those are the two things that we're going to have to figure out. And we're going to have to come down here to main, where we initialize the game objects. Now, this is a specific place in the boilerplate. If you've gone through and looked at the boilerplate video that I made, you already know this is where it is, and this is where I'm going to make the initialization. So first I have to make the name of the object itself, which is a pitcher. Alright, and that takes care of that self in the initialization method. And then I tell it what kind of object the pitcher is going to be. So this is the pitcher, this is the class of objects, object, class of objects. And then I have to tell him two things, position and height. Alright, well, I should define those two things first. So I'm going to assign height equal to something. Alright, so height is going to be equal to some number, and let's make it equal to 6.0 feet. Okay, make him a little tall, not huge, but you know, on the tall side. And then we want a position for him. So we want him on the pitcher's mound. So if we went through and we looked at the drawing for the pitcher, we'll notice that it's 60.5 feet from the center of the pitcher's mound to the center of home plate. Now that's 60.5 feet isn't as much as we need. We need a little bit more because the center of home plate, if you looked at what we did previously, I can't do that right now, is a little bit off. So the batter's box that we drew in profile shifts that off a little bit. Actually, it shifts it off half of 6 feet, which is 3 feet. So that's what we're going to need to do for the horizontal position. All right. The vertical position comes from the bottom. All right. So we're going up from the bottom, and the bottom is going to be that maximum field size. So I've already defined the field size. So I can just start with field size 1 minus. So when I do the subscript 1, that's going to mean it's the y position of a position. Subscript 0 is going to be the x position. Just sort of remember that. You'll do enough programming, you'll get used to it. All right, so then I have to figure out how far up he is. Well, we had two things going on. So let's just look at the first one and see what happens when I draw the guy. The first one is that pitcher's mound is 5/6 of a foot, I believe, above the level playing surface, above the field. So 5.0 over 6.0, and that should be sufficient. So I want to just see what that looks like. But before I can see what that looks like, I have to actually call it. So right now I haven't done anything, right? And as far as drawing anything new on the screen, I've just created this picture, but he doesn't know where to be yet. So I have to draw him somewhere, right? And I'm not going to draw him yet. I'm just going to draw a giant circle that's about the same size he is. So what I have to do is I have to send the picture to the view function, all right? So that's 1, 2, 3. I send the screen, what to draw on, the background, what to draw behind, and then the picture, which is the first object that I'm going to actually draw on the screen. So I want to go up to this view function and see what I'm calling that in the view function. So screen is screen, background is background. We've already taken care of all of those. And then I've got this avatar is the third one. So usually that would be the player, right? Whatever the player is controlling. At the beginning, we're going to have the player control the pitcher until we have a batter, and then we'll switch, right? But first we're going to activate the pitcher manually. And so we can pretend that he's the guy. So we need to draw something there, and when we draw it, it's going to need stuff. It's going to need some things, right? So let's go up to the pitcher class and see what we need. We need self. Self we don't have to worry about because it's the pitcher dot. That pitcher is self. Screen, scale, and offset. So those are the three things we need to send it. Is the screen to draw on, the scale of the drawing, right? How much are we scaling things from physical units to pixels, and the offset on the screen. How have we moved the field around on the screen? So we could have little tiny screens inside of there, and each little tiny screen could have its own offset. Right now we only have one, and it has an offset. It has a tiny little offset, so we do have to worry about it, right? So the offset's right there. It's 23% of the screen is how much we offset the field. So here we go to view, and we need to put some stuff in draw, all right? Just to make sure you notice, look, if I run it, it breaks. So we do have to put that stuff in there. The first one is the screen. The second one is the scale. We've already got the scale from background. We've already got the offset from the background. We've calculated those when we created the background, and we just save them in the background class. So we can use that whenever we need it. So now we have something that we should draw. Let's see. So right now the center is right on the top of the pitcher's mound. That's pretty much where I put it. So we have to modify this so that the center of the circle comes up here, and just the very bottom of the circle is touching the pitcher's mound. And then we'll be done with this first part, and we'll be ready to draw this guy that's over here on the right. So that's not too much of an issue here, right? Because if we come down to where we've defined the pitcher, we just have to subtract a little more. Remember, we draw from the upper left-hand corner, so the numbers get larger as we go down. So we have to subtract a little more. We have to subtract the height. No, we have to subtract half the height. Why half the height? Because, that's basically the radius of a ball that's as high as this pitcher is going to be. We're going to have to change that later on. You'll notice that although I centered him up here, it's not really center on this line. It's minus 0.6 and minus 0.4. So I'm going to have to change this a little bit when I actually do the drawing. If not, remind me. If I forget, you know, just remind me and everything should be okay. So let's see what happens when I draw it now. And the ball sits there right where the pitcher should be. So that's about how big the pitcher is going to be in this drawing, which is about how big he is in the real world, right? So, I mean, that's the way we've done this scaling thing right now. This total sky is 30 feet tall, and so that's 6 feet tall. That's what you got. So I'll go ahead and I'll do a little bit more stuff, and then I'll come back and hopefully we'll have a pretty good looking game going on. All right. So let's see.